Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today we have got a MIKEL Arteta 4-2-3-1 Football Manager 22 tactic. Now this tactic is perfect for those who love to play sort of a possession game, but also do have the ability to go long when needed. It creates some very good goals and also is quite good defensively as well. But before we do break down this tactic, please do smash the like button on this video and please do leave a comment as well. And last but definitely not least, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps the channel get found. It's doing really well at the moment. But yeah, let's get into the first season of tactic testing. So, right off the bat, I knew three teams I wanted to test with. It was going to be Arsenal, Manchester City, and also we went with a team that he used to play for, which is Real Sociedad. And this was a good test because it then meant we also got to include a team that wasn't, you know, I wouldn't say Arsenal were, you know, favoured to win the title, but City obviously are. Arsenal are a great side. Real Sociedad are a great side, but obviously definitely not the favourites to win. But we managed that. We managed to win the BBVA. We managed, or the Santander, sorry. We managed to win the Copa del España, of the Copa del Rey, and also the Europa League versus Leicester. Now, the more impressive thing about this is we scored 136 goals and only let in 38, which, to be honest, is very good in this division. Obviously, Isaac coming in with 77 goals. This guy, honestly incredible. Did have a bit of a eat, and he actually slowed down towards the end of the season as well. So I mean, this guy got off to a hot start. He was injured for a little while, but obviously, I mean, he still scored 77 goals. So absolutely outrageous from him. And if we go into the squad, then we're talking. Here we go, 77 from Isaac. Orazabal coming in with 55. 80 is actually on loan, but we're still included in the team. 18 for Porto, 18 for Baranska, 13 coming in for Mendes. David Silva with 8 assists. We've got 29 for Orazabal, 24 for Silva, 23 for Baranska. Gorazabal there with 16, 13 for Mendes, and 12 for Moreno. So what this shows is it's not just one player getting the goals and the assists. It spreads out amongst pretty much everyone in the team. And if we go into the data hub, we can see what that effect has. We're talking 3.5 goals a game that we actually scored compared to a 2.6 expected. The pass completion sitting at almost 90%. So the passing is a very key factor to this tactic. It really is. Team defending, we conceded exactly 1 goal a game. But when we're scoring 3.5 and we're letting in 1, pretty much every game should be a win, and it pretty much was in this division. We absolutely dominated the Serie A, absolutely dominated the Spanish league, in a league which, to be honest, there's probably 3 teams, arguably 4 teams, better than the team that we had, and we still managed to absolutely dominate it. So, you know, this tactic is really something special. It done absolute miracles in the Spanish league. But let's hop over to London and let's see how we done with Arsenal. So we then hopped over to Arsenal, obviously his current side, and I wasn't expecting to win the Premier League with this side, because obviously there's probably like 3 teams you'd probably favour, possibly 4 teams you'd favour on Football Manager winning it above Arsenal, but this team is honestly incredible. We managed to win the Premier League, also win the Carabao Cup against Chelsea in the final. Bit disappointing in the FA Cup this time around, but considering we managed to win the Premier League, I'm not too gutted. 2nd best for goals scored, 4th best for goals conceded. Jesus coming in with 33 goals. We'll go into the squad again. Very balanced all amongst pretty much everyone again. 33 for Jesus, Saka with 25, 16 for Nketiah, 10 for Smith Rowe, Lokonga either contributing with goals. And we're now going to go into the assists. We've got 17 for Saka, 12 for Jesus, 11 for Odegaard, 9 for Lokonga, Tini with 8, Smith Rowe with 6. So not as many goals scored, but the Premier League is much more defensively solid. It really is. So that is why you don't see as many goals go in this division. But in terms of actual stats, even still, Data Hub, we scored 2.37 a game. Pass completion, again, almost sitting at 90%. So the standards didn't really drop in terms of stats. Team defending, we're actually a little bit better off. Actually conceding under a goal a game. I would say more likely than less it was actually conceding a goal a game, but we've done so well. We really did with this team. And Arsenal do have a great team, but you just don't expect to win the league in the first season without making any additions of your own. And I think that, well, the stats tell they tell the tale at the end of the day. But let's get into the main save where you're going to see how good this tactic is when you use it with an elite side, and that is going to be with Manchester City. But before we do that, if you guys are enjoying this tactic so far, please do leave a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow, helps the channel get found, and it really does help out a lot, guys. So please do subscribe and like the video. But let's see how we done with Manchester City. So, Manchester City, obviously our favourites to win the Premier League. We've got to be honest, it's just how it is at the end of the day. But what we've seen from Erling Haaland this season under this tactic is honestly outrageous. 85 goals for Erling Haaland, making us win the Premier League with 104 points. We also managed to win the Community Shield and also won the Champions League, something which Man City can't do in real life. So I'm going to take credit for that. So we actually won the treble and scoring 148 goals in the division, only conceding 30, ranking us the second best. And if we go into the squad here, this is where it gets very interesting. So if we have a look here, you got 85 goals from Erling Haaland. I mean, he is great, but I mean, come on. 46 goals coming in from Grealish, 36 for Bernardo Silva, 14 for Kevin De Bruyne. In terms of assists, we've got 43 for Bernardo, 24 for Grealish, 22 for Kevin De Bruyne. Haaland actually also getting 19 assists at striker, 17 for Gundogan and 12 for Kyle Walker. In terms of stats, it's going to be absolutely outrageous. 3.89 goals a game that we actually scored. Pass completion actually slightly less, but still very close to that 90% mark. In terms of defending, we're actually even more solid with this team. 0.79 goals actually conceded a game. So you compare that with the 3+ goals. That is why we're so dominant in this league. We're conceding next to none, and we're scoring 3+ goals a game. It's going to be absolute dominance, and that is what it was at the end of the day. Again, but even on this one, the tackle-win ratio is actually very high, considering this tactic isn't about not sort of taking them dirty fouls. This tactic does include a little bit of that, and to be honest, that's actually quite high as well. But let's do what is my favourite part of the video, and that is go into a game, look at some 2D analysis, and break down this tactic. So, we have picked out a 4-0 win against Barcelona, which was probably one of the best games we played the entire season. This was the first leg of the Champions League knockouts as well. And what we're going to do, as we always do from the start, is talk about how this system plays, what is so good about it, and also, you know, possibly what you can expect to see. Now, Arteta is very similar to Pep Guardiola when it comes to playing out from the back. There is a lot of that in this system, so I would advise that you have one ball-playing defender, and definitely someone that is comfortable on that ball, if not preferably all 4 players that are comfortable on the ball, because there is a lot of it in this system. And the whole point of this system is that there is a bit of possessional play in there as well, but it's just about creating that perfect goal, creating that perfect chance. So that being said, you can imagine the work ball into the box is going to be on. So majority of your goals, apart from set pieces, are going to be scored inside of the box. So with this tactic, my one bit of advice would be is you have to be patient. You're not going to be shooting from 40 yards. You're going to be waiting for that perfect chance. And obviously, if you're in a game where you need goals desperately, it might even be worth turning that work ball into the box off to try and hunt goals. But this whole system is built around patient, beautiful football play. Passing, short passing, anywhere you can go. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't long balls played occasionally, because sometimes there are. But Arteta is very similar to Pep Guardiola in really looking to break down the game, break down the players, make them tired, create the perfect chance and just punish them. It's not all about hitting them heavy metal football, such as a Jurgen Klopp. So it is very, very interesting to see how this plays out. So let's actually get into what we're going to do. We're going to go into the goals and we're going to slow this down. So the first goal is going to be Grealish out here on the left-hand side. Now, again, there's tons of options he can go to here. He actually tries to cut it back into Gundogan, who plays the ball right back, and Pavard unfortunately intercepts it. But this is where you see a little bit of the press come in. As you can see here, number 17 realises that De Jong has taken a little bit of a heavy touch here. It's actually going to be Kevin De Bruyne, sticks the foot out, intercepts it, and rockets it into the bottom left corner. And this tactic isn't built around being all pressing. It's not at all. But there is definitely a little bit of pressing in this tactic. So it is something which, you know, you've got to have the squad depth to do so. So your players are going to get fairly tired. But once you execute it, once you've got a good side, this tactic is honestly unstoppable. It really is. Going into the second goal then, we've got Kyle Walker, Rodrigo onto the wing. Again, this is where you see a little bit of the pass and play build up. This is Rodrigo into Gundogan. And again, look at the runners. It's going to be Grealish getting in behind him, is something that we see so often in this tactic. Grealish gets the ball, and of course he's going to finish it into the bottom right, tucks it past the goalkeeper to put us 2-0 up in this tie. We then go again with the third goal. Again, one thing you'll see in this is that the defenders almost do have such a crucial role in actually scoring goals, not scoring goals, but creating chances in this side, because the defenders are expected to be just as good with the ball at their feet as a midfield player. That is how Arteta is as a manager. So it goes back to Laporte into Gundogan, takes his time with the ball here. Another run in behind from Jack Grealish. Should be an option in the box. There is into Erling Haaland. And is he ever going to miss? In real life, probably. In this game, no. Absolutely sensational goal from him. And that puts us 3-0 up in the first leg of knockouts in the Champions League. Kevin De Bruyne with the ball here takes his time. He's taking his time because, as I said, the defenders are expected to almost play as midfielders, if not wingers, in terms of passing and ability on the ball. So you definitely do need some very good defenders that are capable of moving with and without the ball, because, to be honest, there's also quite a bit of running in this system. Back into De Bruyne, switches it to Bernardo Silva, and it's an easy goal. As I said, and as I stated, it's not all about short passing. You are going to see a lot of short passing in the game. But when there is a ball on, when there's a long ball opportunity, you will take it. And that's one thing which I really do rate from Arteta. He has this, every manager has how they want to play in their head. They have a picture and they try and recreate that on the pitch. But he also understands that when there is a run on, such as there was there for Bernardo Silva, it makes sense to play the long ball. And because we did, we got the goal. So you are going to be seeing a very mixed sort of build up come how you score the goals. Like, typically, if you have the ball from kickoff or you win the ball back in the middle of the park, you're not going to see one of your players instantly hit it long. You probably will see a little bit of build up play. But when there is a person running in behind, your players will look for that. And it is a very good option to have. But let's get into the most important part of the video. I know it's the part that you guys come for. That is going to be the tactic breakdown and the player roles. So this is going to be the Arteta 4-2-3-1. Now, as I always say in my videos, if you guys do want to download this, then you can, simply in the description. This saves you clicking it click for click and having to copy it and take ages to do it. But before we do actually start to break down this tactic, please do leave a like on this video and comment if you want to see more tactics from myself. Please also subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on notifications. And be sure to follow all of the social medias in the description. But let's start to break down this tactic then. So the mentality, a lot of my tactics do feature attacking. For this, it is going to be positive because you're not out from the rip to try and, you know, just completely fly at the other team. You have got a little bit of resilience there as well. So positive suits it perfectly. In possession, we've got attack and width is set to wide. We've got play out of defence selected because, again, this is a key thing in Arteta's sides. Whenever he plays, you're expected to see that play out of defence sort of game style. And it does work for him. So that is what we've got in today's video. Because at the end of the day, this is an Arteta remake. Pass and directness. The reason why this isn't on shorter, but it's on slightly shorter, is because even on slightly shorter, your players will be playing that beautiful one-touch football. But without it being on slightly shorter, you won't be seeing them long balls, which do create really good chances as well. So slightly shorter is a perfect setting for me personally. And I think I did test it with shorter, and you didn't have them. Then basically, you'd be seeing all these players make these beautiful runs in behind, but we weren't fetching them. So we weren't picking them out. So slightly shorter is, in my opinion, the most important setting on everything. If you guys are going to watch one thing and take it in, that is what you want. In terms of tempo, you do not need to go extremely high. Just go higher. Again, this system is pressing, but it's not all and out press. So it is going to be harsh on your players over a whole season, but it's not going to be as harsh on your players as what it would be playing in a Klopp side where it is pure press, press, press. And in terms of crosses, you want low crosses selected and work the ball into the box. As I said, this is one of the most patient managers about, alongside of Pep Guardiola. They like to wait for their teams to create chances, and they never get sort of put off when they're not even a goal up in the 70th minute. They know it will come, they wait for it, and if it doesn't, then it's on them to take it, isn't it? But at the end of the day, that's my one thing I would say to you guys is, if you use this tactic and possibly you're desperate for a goal and you really need that goal possibly to win the league or to go through in the group, something like that, simply take off work ball into the box, go a little bit more aggressive on it. But if you want to stick to the traditional Arteta way, then this is it. Going into transition, you want counter press, counter attack as well selected, distribute to centre backs, and also take short goal kicks. Out of possession, you want standard whip, standard defensive line. Is not known for playing a low or a high line, so standard on that one, and a higher line of engagement. Trigger press on much more often. Again, do not go on much more often. It's not really required in this. And prevent short goalkeeper distribution, because that is also where you saw, not in this case, but similar to where we saw De Jong lose the ball. I know goalkeepers make that same error when you have this selected, because they get so flustered at their feet. They don't know what to do. So it is a very, very good option to have selected. But let's get into the player roles now, and we can talk a little bit more about how these players work. So the first one is going to be a sweeper keeper. Pretty much in every one of my systems, every manager I remake, sweeper keeper is part of the modern game now. It doesn't mean it's got to be Manuel Neuer going out to the halfway line. It just means that they scrape balls over the top and they sort of clear up scraps. Pretty much every goalkeeper in the Premier League that you class as an elite goalkeeper does that. The only person that doesn't is David De Gea. He's really poor in that side of the game, and as a United fan, that's the only reason I would consider moving him on if that's how Ten Hag wants to play. Just had to get that in there. In terms of the fullbacks then, we have got a wing back on the support role, both for the left and the right. So I'm going to show you one of them because they are literally exactly the same. So we have got balance on trigger press, mark tighter selected, get further forward, run wide with the ball, shorter passing, and cross less often, because this isn't a crossing, lump the ball in the box tactic. You don't want to be seeing the ball get whipped in too much, because this is about scoring the perfect chance. So if you can imagine two fullbacks pumping ball after ball into the box, it's going against everything that we've tried to build in this system. Going over to the right-hand centre-back then, which is two ball-playing defenders, because again, this is all this team is about. Playing out from the back is where it starts, from the heart, from the back, all the way up to the top. Trigger press is going to be on balanced, mark tight is selected, stay wider, give a little bit more width in this system, shorter passing selected as well, dribble more, and also take more risks is going to be selected there. And this is because they do take risks, these centre-backs, at the end of the day. Arsenal centre-backs both can drive with the ball. Ben White, Gabriel, they're both expected to dribble with the ball, drive with the ball, and that's just how Arteta is. Sometimes it costs them, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it really works out well. I like to think in this system especially, there's always a player to cover that. So for me, it didn't really catch me out too much. Moving on then, by the way, on these wing backs as well, they are on the support duty, so they're not purely defending. They will also push up, so don't feel like you're going to have an entire back four completely locked on defending. Moving on to the left-hand side then, we have got exactly the same, but we do not have him on dribble more. This is because you do not want both centre-backs on dribble more, because that is where you are going to get caught out ridiculously. So you want one on dribble more, one on not. You want mark tighter selected, stay wider, shorter passing selected. But yeah, the main thing to take from this is do not have two centre-backs on dribble more, because the danger of that is you then have two centre-backs that do dribble with the ball at their feet, and, you know, anything can happen. One of them could have it, they could dribble up a little bit, it gets deflected possibly for a challenge, the other centre-back gets it, they start dribbling up, they lose it, then before you know it, there's no centre-backs, balls over the top, and you're 1-0 down. Simple as that. Moving on to the midfield then, we have got a centre mid on the defending duty, and this guy is pretty much the glue. He puts in a lot of the challenges, he breaks up a lot of the play, and it is a really big role in the team. We've got him on mark tight is selected, much more on the press, and the passing directness is on standard, because it's a perfect mix between playing them short passes to players and also knowing to go long when it is right to do so. Going over to the Roman playmaker, a very busy player in this side, we've got balanced trigger press, standard on the pass and directness, dribble more, because you want this guy to be a little bit more sort of give him a bit of freedom in that midfield. He's not the most attacker midfielder, but he is one of the more attacker midfielders. You have to let him dribble more if he is Roman. Obviously, clue in the name, Roman playmaker. He is on the support duty, so he will defend, but he will also go forward as well when it is right to do so. Moving over to what is going to be the most attacker midfielder is going to be the advanced playmaker on the support duty, balanced on the trigger press, roam from position, because this is where you see these players get into beautiful pockets of space, loads of space left and right all over the shop, and this is where you see these little passes, 1-2s, and it helps out massively. On the pass and directness, you want that to be on standard, and everything else leave as it is. That's all you need to do for that position. Moving over to the right hand winger, which is going to actually be an inside forward on the attack duty, and this guy is told to be balanced on the press, mark tighter, get further forward, cut inside, standard on the directness, and that is going to be all selected for this. And the reason why we have one on inside and one more sort of out on the wing, staying wider, is because you can switch the play then very well. So you can attack them at any point in the game and they've got no clue what's going on, because you've got one player that is dominating the inside, cutting in, causing issues, but then you've also got one player on the left hand side that is keeping wide, bit more of a tricky player possibly, trying to get to the byline, cut it back in, play it back into the middle. So having one of each just makes it very hard for teams to defend for 90 minutes, and it's just a very good way of playing football. So that is going to be an inverted winger on balance, trigger press, mark tighter, stay wider, get further forward, cut inside with the ball again, standard with the directness, and that is going to be it. But I can't stress enough the importance of having one sort of, you know, actually out on the wing being an inverted winger, and obviously one inside forward, because it literally means, also it means that the inside forward is obviously going to be a bit closer to this guy here. So if it does come over from this side, they can link up a lot easier because they are closer, and it is a very, very big part of this tactic. And moving on to the goal scorer, obviously you've seen how many goals that strikers in this tactic gets, and that is because, I mean, it's a very, very exciting tactic to use. So we've got a pressing forward on the attack duty. We tell him to press more often. Again, you do want him working hard. He doesn't have to hold up the ball in this system. Standard on the directness. And again, we want him to be selfish. As I always say, I say this in every tactic video, if your striker's not selfish, he's not a striker. You want him to be on dribble more, shoot more often, and take more risks, because this guy is going to be the main man getting you the goals. As you've seen from stats, you will get goals from all over the pitch, you know, right wing, left wing, cam, midfield, deep midfield. You will see goals come from pretty much everywhere, but you always want that one sort of vocal point, and this is going to be the pressing forward. But that is going to be all for today, guys. Hope you have enjoyed this tactic. If you have, please do leave a like on the video. Please do comment as well of what manager you want to see remade next, and also subscribe to the channel as well. There's going to be tons of content coming out before Football Manager 23, but when Football Manager 23 comes out, we're also going to be giving away a free copy, and there's going to be pretty much daily content as well. So definitely worth subscribing, but I will see you in the next one.